First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, and as you can see, it's Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, which means it's time to have Eric G. here on the show, as always, joining us with an abundance of knowledge to let us know about, to tell us about. I always learn a ton every time that you are here on the show, and appreciate you being here so much. Eric, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks, my friend. It's always good to be on here. This is always a ton of fun, man.
Yeah, and you've got a ton of tips and different things that we're going to talk about. So, about protecting your house from fire, as it says right there, which is clearly something on the minds of everybody, at least in the Portland area, because, well, really everywhere. But just in the last couple of days, there have been two giant fires, with the one up in Longview, the Kmart going down. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta protect your stuff, even if you're Kmart, or I guess Kmart's gone. But regardless, you gotta protect your home. And there are ways to do that safely. I know that was one of the things you wanted to talk about here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's one of those things that's it's a lot of common sense, but some of the first things I want to see you do is make sure those gutters this time of year are completely cleaned out. And even if you've got gutter guards on there, the pine needles and stuff love to get around those. And so no matter what, get those, because that's just one big tinderbox. And if you have a Kmart fire or a house down the street that caught on fire, the last thing you need is to have that just ready for any spark to catch on fire, and it goes right at the roof. So number one, clean those gutters out and get them 100% clean.
Yeah, that is a very, very good point. Because there's so many reasons to make sure that your gutters are clean. We were talking about it earlier in the year just with mosquitoes, because there were some pools of water, but now that's tinder that could absolutely, set things on fire. So cleaning gutters.
Cleaning gutters is the first one, and I know this is one that is a struggle for people in our area, but watering your lawn.
Yeah.
White lawn out there, you have two different kinds of people in our metro area. You have the people that water their lawn that want the golf course green, and the other one goes, hey, I'm waiting for October for it to look green again. And the problem is that can cause two problems. One, you've got just a grass fire waiting to go. When it's white, all it takes is a cigarette butt, and you've got a grass fire in your front yard, and that's not good. And then two, actually not watering your lawn in our area here can actually cause foundation issues to your home. So
Really?
That's another one, but that's a whole other one that we'll talk about a little bit later when we talk about some of the programs that we've had around here that have actually caused some problems to foundations. But keeping some water on that lawn and just keeping it slightly green is going to be great, because if it does catch on fire, it's a slow burn versus, wildfire conditions in your own front or backyard.
You could just snap it up just like that. Yeah,
Yep.
that is a very good point, because you do see that quite a bit, where it's like, okay, it's going to be, if it's not going to be full green, why bother watering it? But that is a very good point. So
yeah, I caught my backyard on fire one time at my buddy's house when I moved to Seattle decades ago. And we had the Weber sitting out in the backyard like everybody else does, but they never watered. And all of a sudden we turned around and two of the little embers had landed out there. And we had the barbecue and then the bigger barbecue around it that we had to go put out. So again, that's got to be careful.
That's no fun. Yeah. So definitely water your lawn. Thankfully I've been doing that one, so I feel good about that, at least to some extent. It doesn't look great, but at least it's wet. So
a little bit goes a long ways.
Right. Okay. So clean out your gutters.
Yep.
Water your lawn.
Next one up, make sure you don't have any brush, any trees, bushes, or anything touching your house. There should never be anything that is growing up against your house. And if not, you need to trim them back, because you want to have some clear space between those areas. And that also is good for keeping pests away, because if you've got a bush up against the siding, one, it's wearing on the siding, and two, all the ants and beetles and bugs and everything else love to walk right up on there. So again, that's another invitation for that. So making sure that you've got anything like that away from the house, and stuff that's combustible as well. So make sure that, when you have your trash cans outside, keep those away from the house a little bit. The barbecue away from the house. Just have a whole area that is not touching the house. And really, if you can walk between those bushes in the house, that's probably the best of all scenarios.
Okay. So keep those out. I didn't even think about the bug factor too. Perfect little walkway right into your house.
Exactly. So those are the things you need to watch out for there. And then garbage piles out in the yard. Sometimes you have the like where people throw the lawn clippings and it's one thing to have a compost, but it's another just to have a big brush pile. And the same goes for firewood. If you have firewood for like an outdoor fireplace, or even if you are burning firewood in your own fireplace, make sure that's well away from the structure. Make that sure that's just away. So if something did happen, it's not right there up against the house.
Good. All good points. Great points. So easy things to do too. I mean, it may take a little bit of work, but could solve a lot of those issues. So great. Anything else? Any other major tips or tricks for that?
Yeah, just if you've got a, nature area or something that's, outside of your house, if you're up against some greenway or stuff, make sure that stuff's not up against your fence as well. And so, ask permission. I'm not telling you to go cut down a tree in the greenway next door. That's going to be super illegal and probably get you in trouble. But use some common sense. If you can go out there and brush stuff away from that the fence and clean that up a little bit, if it's a nature area like that, just to keep it so you've got some clear area. 3 or 4 feet, if you had a wildfire back there, can make a big difference on giving access to a firefighter or giving them a space to get at, so they can actually contain that.
Yeah, don't necessarily go cut it down if you get, but that is a very good point though. So clear some space out there. Or maybe it happens in the middle of the night. I don't know. I'm not telling anybody.
I'm not out there watching
that. I didn't say
not saying that. No.
All right, so
that's some of the basics right there,
Yeah.
And then while you're at it, make sure that if you got an HVAC system, make sure you don't have anything around that, because that's just performance for keeping your house cool. So just a clean yard, get rid of the clutter, anything like that that's combustible, get it out of the way, and you should be good to go.
Nice. All right. Thank you very much. So everybody write all that stuff down, go home and do that. Now, you mentioned something about watering your lawn and foundations, and I do not know how those two things connect. So how does that work?
So a number of years ago in the city of Portland, we had this problem, and we still do today, where people's gutters went into the sewer system in houses that were in the 40s, 50s, or before. And so when we had the big rains, of course, we ended up overflowing the sewage system because the stormwater system went into that. And so the city of Portland still to this day gives a great, tax rebate for you to disconnect your downspouts away from the house. And so that way it's not going into the sewer system and causing that problem. The problem we have is the people over the years took their tax credit, they closed off that system, and they've dumped out that water. So the downspout from the gutters goes right next to the house. And that is causing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of foundation issues, because anytime a downspout comes off the house and goes off, it needs to go at least 10 feet away so it doesn't get underneath that foundation, cause cracks. And here's how the best way to explain how dry soil causes a foundation issue. We have a lot of clay in this area, and we build these homes on top of that clay. So you think of clay as like a sponge, like that kitchen sponge that's been dry for a couple of days. It gets all wrinkly and dried up and hard. And you'll see in clay soil, like a riverbed, you'll see those cracks, right? Well, The house is sitting on top of that. So now you've lowered that and have actually let the house sink down an inch, maybe half an inch. And then when we get water on it, it raises back up again. So you're cycling that foundation and putting all the stress on it. And so I've actually had structural engineers tell people, hey, if you want to stop any more foundation cracks from coming, put a soaker hose around and water those flower beds. And if it's always wet, it's not going to move like that. It's those cycles that happen. And then when you dump water right next to a foundation, that undermines it and causes that, and the water actually damages a foundation. So I've seen people's homes personally that I've gone out to give estimates to when I was doing the remodeling stuff, where we had $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 of the repair work because they disconnected their downspouts, and that was causing damage to the foundation.
Wow, that's terrifying.
And I had to call the city of Portland out because their information on their website is inaccurate. They say to only put it 2 to 6 feet away. It needs to be almost double that. So even you've got to be 10, 12 feet away. because when water comes out of a downspout, it's like a cone. The farther
Yeah.
it travels, you want to make sure that you're well away from that so you don't fill up a basement with water or get that moisture going into that.
All right. That is, that is also great information. So you got to run it all the way that far out. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else on foundations?
Well, it's just one of those things. If you see a crack, these days you don't have to lift the whole house up and put a foundation under it. That's the good news. There's technology. We use carbon fiber. There's these new urethanes and stuff. So you can patch up a foundation and actually make it stronger. So the fear of having to jack a house up and put a new foundation under it, don't have to do that anymore unless you're trying to do some bigger construction project and make a 10-foot ceiling in the basement. But really, there's a lot of different ways to fix it without spending that kind of money these days. And so that's good news.
Okay. That's at least if there is an issue, then it's a little bit better for solving it. Okay. As always, fantastic. But let's talk about what's coming up this weekend.
Oh, man. I had one. This is probably my favorite episode of craftspeople that I have done in a long time. And I mean, this was crazy. We stopped into Golden West Billiards, and the level of craftsmanship here, I haven't seen this in our area, and there's a lot of great craftspeople here, but we were sitting there and they are carving all these pieces by hand. And if you think of what goes into a pool table or a billiard table, this is all hand done, and it is spectacular, the ultra level of craftsmanship that you see in here. And everybody drives past this place every day over in Johnson Creek Boulevard, and it just goes way back in there, and it's just all hand done stuff. Stunningly beautiful things.
Man, yeah, I remember you were bringing this up. I can't remember if we talked about this on air or not, but talking about going in there and just how incredible it is, and how I've driven past this building before, and I didn't even realize. I saw the billiards thing, but I didn't think about the fact that they're making them there. I just thought maybe it was a warehouse or something. Completely wrong on my end.
Yeah, that's a 2-story manufacturing facilities, and they're making, everything from billiard tables to a bunch of other different stuff in there. So shuffleboard tables. It was crazy how cool that stuff was. They're hand carving lions and stuff in there. It's insane.
Oh man, and that's all on this week's episode. You get to
That's all on this week's episode, absolutely. And then we do a drip irrigation system in my garden. So we went through and put in a root quencher drip irrigation system, so we don't have to be out there watering those things every single day in the heat.
That is smart, and helps for your foundation, as we learned.
Absolutely, no question. Little water goes a long ways.
Doing everything at once. All right, well. Everybody can check out the new episode coming up on Saturday.
Got it.
But let everybody know, too, though, as far as catching up on last week's and the other places they can watch.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, the show airs 3 times a week. So we've got 10 a.m. Saturday morning. We've got 8 a.m. tomorrow morning's a replay as well. So make sure that you catch that for last week's episode. That one's got Freeland Spirits in it. That's a great one. And then on Sunday night at 6 o'clock, that one, boy, people are catching that one. People are home and they're diving into that one. That's been a really hot show for us. So I appreciate all of our 6 p.m. Sunday viewers as well. So yeah, we've got a lot going on. And then head over to the KPTV.com YouTube page. We've got about 104, 105 videos over there from the back catalog of stuff. So we've been tackling a lot of projects over there.
Yeah, check all of those out. So all there on the YouTube channel. And Eric, always so nice to talk to you. So great to have you on here every week. You have something amazing to talk about and tell us about, and good tips and tricks. And I am going to be doing some of those when I get home. So I'm definitely going to turn on the sprinkler. So all right. And for everybody watching, thanks so much for tuning in to Fox 12 Now. Again, I'm Greg Nibbler, and this is our live show here from the Fox 12 Oregon headquarters. That's the newsroom behind me, part of it right there. And we live stream every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific, so lots of stuff to cover. And if there's ever breaking news, we're going to be right here with you for that as well. So make sure that you tune in for that. And I do want to remind everybody also of something for us, and that is World Cup is on KPTV, is on Fox 12 Oregon. So it starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And, it starts tomorrow. kicks off tomorrow. Our newscasts at 6 and 10 are going to be live streaming right here. So where you're watching us right now, that's where you can come back and watch the 6 and 10 p.m. news shows tomorrow. That's Friday, July 21st. Catch that at kptv.com. All of our apps right there. Fox 12 Oregon, Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, all the places to go. Great things to do. So that way you can make sure you catch all of that live streaming. And I think that's it for this episode. So Eric, great to talk to you. So good to have you on here. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll tune out for right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.